Guys, please answer. Hey, it's totally cool to enjoy kissing and fooling around without rushing into sex. While some guys may prefer to escalate things quickly, there are plenty who appreciate the intimacy of making out without it always leading to sex. It's all about finding someone who respects your boundaries and enjoys the same level of physical intimacy as you do. Just communicate your preferences and look for someone who's on the same page. You deserve to feel comfortable and respected in your relationships. Set clear boundaries and stick to them. You are your own person, and they need to accept you from jump. While making out gets us super excited, it's not so much that we don't like it in and of itself. It's that once we're doing that, I'm gonna be getting super horny. I can't help it. Men aren't typically as hung up on sex, so in our mind it's like, okay, this is going well and heating up. Why the fuck not? It feels natural to us, and to be honest, I don't even get much out of kissing, if that's normal. But I think I've become a very good kisser, ironically, because even though I didn't get much out of it, the girls I dated did, and it meant a lot to them, so I listened to what they were asking, what they liked, and tried to put myself into their mindset. Point is, a guy could be a really good kisser and seem really into the kissing, because he cares about making you satisfied, but men feel a lot of intimate connection from actual body-on-body sex. Men and people of any age like clarity and transparency. If your stance on the subject is unclear, then you could just come off as a tease. On the other hand, if you elucidate from the start that you take sex very seriously and prefer to wait, then they are likely to be more receptive. Speaking as a 21-er male who hasn't had a relationship yet, I'd be absolutely fine with just kissing. I personally wouldn't want sex until I felt extremely connected and safe around her. But I'm just speaking for myself. I know for most guys it would feel like a tease. I made out with a beautiful woman I know just the other day. It didn't lead to sex, we just both wanted some intimacy. Then I kissed her on her forehead and she went back home. We exist. As teens, that stuff not going anywhere was fine and kinda the norm for a lot of people. As adults, it is basically getting teased feels like getting played. Communication for this will be very important, and perhaps some compromise worked into things, like maybe some sexual stuff like hand action or something, so there's at least some release from the tension that's built up. That said, how long before sex is acceptable will also have to be worked out. Just set the boundary clearly early on. I personally do like kissing, necking, touching, etc., and it doesn't need to go further unless we both want to. Just have to be clear at the offset, or you will probably get some PPL who expect it to lead to sex, even if there's no indication that you want it to. 34M here. It is not an age thing. Why kiss and fool around if we aren't going to have sex? He doesn't want to partake because it will arouse him to the point wanting having sex. Us men has needs to, and he handled it appropriately. Him the same way, little kisses are fine, but making out not all in or not. So far every makeout I had seems to end up in bed. Yep, it's perfectly normal. I'm a 24F and I'm the same way as you always have been. I've dealt with a lot of guys who always wanted to escalate to sex right away, and many of them would try to guilt trip me into doing it or be straight up rude if I didn't want to. My advice is establish your boundaries. Know what you want and who you want it with. Don't let men force you into anything you don't want. Like some of the other commenters said, if a guy doesn't respect that, then you shouldn't spend your time on him. For me now, it's at a point where if a guy is trying to push for sex right away, it's a huge turn off, and I don't pursue anything further with him. I'm 38, I've always loved kissing. For me, when it comes to things leading to sex, I hated women who teased sex, but didn't want to have it, like we can make out. But don't kiss my neck and take off my shirt or grind on me, but then be like, nah, I just want to kiss. Okay, cool. Let's just kiss then. Don't tease me only to pull back. That might work for some dudes, I'm not one of them. But I love making out, and I always search for women who are good kissers. One of my exes loved the same thing. We kissed, made out, and did some touching, but never went to full-on sex, and I definitely enjoyed it, so I think it's based on preferences, but I guess he's the type of guy who liked to commit completely to it rather than just doing a bit of fooling around. I'm the same. Yeah, I'll find someone that's compatible. Just discuss it early on, but not too early to prevent future conflict. Some dudes do not like foreplay at any stage that doesn't involve you stimulating their penis. Ignore them and find a new partner. I love it. I kinda always have. When I was younger, I probably would get more impatient more quickly, but otherwise I liked it. It's a bit of an age thing, but also just person to person. I'm 28. I have found that the older I get, the slower I want to go. I want to enjoy every nuance that a budding relationship brings. I would blow right past that in my younger days. I wound up missing out on a lot. You'll find the right person that is the right speed for you, and you will know it. This is adorable. I love the nonsense of just fooling around without any form of sex. Kissing especially. So we are out there. I'm perfectly fine with taking things slow and not having sex, but honestly if that's the way it's gonna be, I'd personally prefer not to do too much fooling around. Kissing is great, I like kissing and it doesn't need to lead to sex. Making out is fun and good too, but when there is a lot of fooling around and it doesn't lead to sex, it is a bit frustrating. It just feels like foreplay, I think, and I personally would just rather not get into it if it's going to be left there. I'm 22 and I would rather kiss and cuddle than have sex right away. That's a thing I'd probably want a couple months into the relationship, after we get to know each other better. There are a lot of people our age that want sex right away though, so you just have to find the right person. They exist. I guess just try to take it slow. Also, the more shy they are, the more likely they are to take it slow, especially if they haven't had many relationships. Also, I've had the same experience with a girl. She wanted sex the first night we hung out, and then again the night after. It was my first experience, so I went along with it, but I broke it off right after. Also, she was just a genuinely mean person. It's not just guys that do this.